Every man thinks women fear loneliness or rejection or being cheated on. But the truth is, there's a much deeper fear, one they rarely admit out loud, not even to themselves. And once you understand it, you'll never look at female behavior the same way again. Think about that for a moment. Ask the average guy what women fear most, and he'll say, being cheated on, being abandoned, being unloved. Sure, those fears exist, but they're surface level. Symptoms, not the disease. The real fear, the one buried so deep it shapes her every move, is something more primal. It's biological. It's not about love. It's not even about betrayal. It's about survival. Before we go deeper, we need to kill a dangerous myth. The belief that women think like men, that they want what we want, that they fear what we fear. This is one of the biggest mistakes a man can make, in life, in love, in leadership. Men fear failure. We fear being weak. We fear being replaced by stronger men. That's our nightmare. But women, their nightmare is completely different. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. For thousands of years, a man's survival depended on strength, on honor, on his ability to protect or produce. A weak man could be conquered. He could starve. He could be erased. But a woman? Even if she was weak, she could still survive, if she could secure the protection of a stronger man. That brutal truth has shaped female psychology in ways most men never consider. It's the hidden programming behind why women crave attention more than truth, why validation outweighs logic, why the fear of being replaced cuts deeper than any insult. When a man gets cheated on, it destroys him because of shame, because of the blow to his pride, because his name loses weight. But when a woman is cheated on, the wound speaks a different language. It whispers, "You are obsolete. You are no longer valuable. You've been replaced." That's why betrayal hurts. Not just because of the disloyalty, but because it confirms her deepest fear: irrelevance. Once you see that, suddenly everything makes sense. The endless validation seeking, the obsession with youth and beauty, the panic at 30 masked by bravado at 25, the drama, the emotional swings, the relentless tests thrown at men. What looks like manipulation is often just a survival strategy. What seems irrational is often a primal instinct trying to navigate a modern world, and what appears to be confidence is sometimes just panic in disguise. Panic dressed up in empowerment slogans, fear hidden behind curated selfies and confidence quotes. Beneath every myth about what women fear lies a single terrifying truth: the fear of becoming invisible. That's the core. That's the truth society avoids like a plague. Every man has heard the phrase, "the biological clock is ticking," but we're trained to think it only refers to fertility. Kids, motherhood. That's not the whole picture. That's the polite version. The real story is far more raw, because biology doesn't care about politics. It doesn't read feminist blogs or motivational captions. Biology doesn't care about how empowered you feel. It just keeps ticking, silently, brutally. Men can gain value with time. A man at 20 can be broke, unknown, unseen. But at 40, with discipline and purpose, he can be powerful, wealthy, respected, and more attractive than ever. A man's value grows if he builds it. But a woman? Her value in the sexual marketplace is front-loaded. Youth, beauty, fertility. Those are her early advantages. And as time goes on, those advantages fade. And she knows it. Even if she won't admit it. Even if she hides behind careers and empowerment slogans. Even if she floods Instagram with smiling photos. Deep down, she feels the pull of the clock. And it terrifies her. Because her greatest fear isn't loneliness. It isn't being ghosted. It isn't betrayal. It's becoming irrelevant. It's waking up and realizing the attention she once commanded is gone, vanished overnight. That fear of invisibility is the silent engine driving so many choices that confuse men. That's why you see women freezing their eggs at 35, even when they're not ready for kids. Biology is whispering louder than their careers. That's why the most liberated women still post thirst traps long past the age men stop noticing. That's why midlife panic hits harder for women. It's not about getting old, it's about fading away. And here's the uncomfortable truth no one dares say out loud. Feminism sold women a dream. You can put off family, you can delay commitment, you can prioritize your career, you can have it all. It sounds empowering, it sounds modern. But biology doesn't bend to empowerment slogans. It doesn't care about TED Talks. And when biology's deadline approaches, the fear hits like a freight train. That fear explains the relentless push for hypergamy, not because women are greedy, but because they're trying to lock down the best security they can while they still hold power. It's not gold digging, it's insurance. Survival instinct, disguised as lifestyle. You see a woman trading up for a better man and call it manipulation. But what you're seeing is desperation wearing lipstick, panic dressed up as independence. And no matter how many articles try to dismiss it, the truth is stubborn. The biological clock isn't just about babies, it's about relevance. And survival. That fear, the fear of fading, the fear of not being seen, explains everything. For the past 60 years, society told women a story. You don't need a man. You don't need family. You don't need motherhood. Focus on you. It sounded freeing, but the freedom came with a price. Because when you ignore biology, it doesn't go away. It waits. It waits while you chase experiences, careers, degrees, casual flings. And when you finally pause and look around in your 30s, you realize the marketplace has changed. The attention has shifted. The doors aren't as open as they once were. And the fear creeps in, quietly, then all at once. That's why anxiety and depression rates among women have exploded. That's why modern women, despite having more freedom, report lower levels of happiness than they did in the 1950s. How can that be? Because they were told a lie. They were told that ignoring their nature would set them free. But nature is ruthless. It punishes ignorance. It doesn't negotiate. Women's psychology has always been deeply linked to reproduction, validation, and relevance. And when modern ideas collide with ancient truths, the result is panic. That's why 35-year-old women on dating apps say they're strong and independent, yet secretly long for stability. That's why they still crave attention online. That's why they ask, "Where have all the good men gone?" They were told they had time. They don't. And men? Men believed the lie too. We were told, "Let women live how they want. Everything will work out." But it didn't. Instead, it bred confusion. Women chasing freedom while their biology screamed for security. Men growing bitter as the rules shifted under their feet. Telling a man to ignore female nature is like telling a soldier to ignore gravity. It works until he steps off a cliff, and by then, it's too late. Ancient truths don't vanish just because we want them to. Women have always leveraged youth and beauty for security. Men have always leveraged strength and purpose for respect. When either trades that in for comfort or modern slogans, both lose. And when both lose, civilizations decline. That's the tragic irony. Women were promised empowerment, but many end up in chains anyway. Chained to jobs they hate, chained to regrets, chained to fading power they can't get back. Because once the clock runs out, there are no do-overs. And that's why this fear runs so deep. It's not just the biological clock ticking in the background. It's the slow, horrifying realization that the modern script was a scam. And the bill always comes due. You see, once a woman begins to feel that slip, that slow fade into irrelevance, she starts behaving differently. You'll see it everywhere once your eyes are open. The validation addiction, the desperation masked as confidence, the increased pressure in relationships, the testing, the drama, all of it becomes easier to decode once you realize that the fear of becoming invisible is the hidden language behind it all. Take Instagram. Why do women flood their feeds with selfies, thirst traps, filtered photos? Why the obsession with likes, comments, endless attention from strangers? Men dismiss it as vanity. But it's not vanity, it's insurance. Every like is a data point. I still matter. I'm still desirable. I'm still visible. That's the subconscious mantra. Look at the endless makeup tutorials, the over-filtered images, the anxiety over unedited pictures. It's not just about looking good. It's about convincing themselves and the world that they haven't yet faded out of the sexual marketplace. Now consider hypergamy, the constant drive to trade up. Most men rage at this. They see it as betrayal, as greed. But peel back the layers, and what do you find? Fear that the man she's currently with won't protect her from that fade, that he won't be able to shield her from invisibility. So she reaches for someone stronger, richer, more dominant. Someone who can pause the clock, even if only temporarily. Hypergamy isn't about cruelty. It's not malice. It's survival instinct sharpened by panic. Then there's the testing. Every man hates it. The little jabs, the emotional swings, the challenges. Most of us see it as unnecessary drama, but that's because we misunderstand what it really is. Every test she throws your way isn't just a game, it's a question. Are you strong enough to carry me through the storm? Are you confident enough to make me feel safe? Are you resilient enough to make me forget I'm fading? And if you fail that test, she doesn't just lose faith in you. She feels the ticking get louder. She feels her window closing. Even emotional volatility begins to make sense through this lens. One moment she's affectionate, the next she's distant. One moment she's laughing, the next she's panicked. Men call it chaos. But what you're really witnessing is an adaptive operating system in real time. Her emotions aren't just feelings. They're tools, weapons, sensors. They push, pull, recalibrate, all in an effort to maintain relevance, security, and positioning while time slips through her fingers. It's not irrational. It's a survival strategy coded by 1,000 generations of evolutionary pressure. This is why women panic more at 30 than 20. Why they double down on validation, on career, on relationship demands. Why they sometimes trade up even when things seem perfect. Because beneath the surface is that one constant whisper. Don't disappear. Not yet. Don't let it be over. And here's the part that's hardest for most men to grasp. We mistake all of this for manipulation, for cruelty, for immaturity. But it's none of those. It's fear. It's instinct. It's the silent war being fought behind every selfie, every test, every accusation, every seemingly irrational decision. And here's the real tragedy. Most men completely misread it. We project our own fears onto women. We assume they're worried about what we're worried about. Respect, status, legacy, being outshined by stronger men. But that's our nightmare, not theirs. When you don't understand someone's core fear, you misinterpret everything they do. You grow bitter, you lash out. You call them shallow, manipulative, broken. But the truth is, they're not broken. You're just blind. That blindness is why men lose in the modern dating game. They enter relationships thinking women crave love the way men crave honor. They bring flowers, kindness, loyalty, and when it doesn't work, they rage. Why isn't this enough? Why doesn't she love me for who I am? Because love was never the question. Safety was. Relevance was. Survival was. Women don't test you because they enjoy chaos. They test you because they need to know if tying themselves to you will buy them more time in the game. If they're going to fade, they want to know you'll keep them visible a little longer. Fail the test, and the fear intensifies. Pass it, and for a moment, she breathes. The panic softens. She feels safe. But that safety must be earned again and again, because the clock never stops ticking. That's why men fall into despair. That's why forums are filled with angry, black-pilled voices screaming that women are cruel and hopeless. But what they're really expressing is confusion. They're trapped in a blind spot they never learned to escape. Because once you truly understand this fear, you stop taking everything so personally. You stop whining about female nature. You start recognizing the logic behind the chaos. And that's where the power is. Because now you have a choice. Most men never make that choice. They sulk. They collapse. They sink into bitterness. But strong men? They adapt. They level up. They stop asking, "Why are women like this?" and start asking, "How can I become the man who renders this fear irrelevant?" That's the hidden key. Because while women fear irrelevance through age, men face their own brutal timeline. A woman's battle is against the clock. A man's battle is against weakness. If a woman hits 35 and panics, she might still be able to cash out, if she's smart, strategic, or lucky. But if a man hits 35 without strength, without purpose, without discipline, he becomes invisible too. Not because of age, but because of irrelevance. And there's no one coming to save him. Think about how many men you know who are already ghosts while alive, invisible at work, invisible to women, invisible to themselves, numbed by porn, drained by video games, swallowed by comfort and distraction. They're not even fighting anymore. They're already gone. And here's the brutal irony. At least women's fear drives them to act. It makes them hustle for attention, security, validation. Men? We drown in silence. We escape. We distract ourselves. We run instead of rising. That's why the modern world is overrun by weak men. Men who never built a body worth respecting. Men who never found a mission worth following. Men who expect loyalty, love, and sex for just existing, and rage when the world doesn't hand it over. But nature doesn't care. Women don't care. History doesn't care. This is the unforgiving truth. Irrelevance is death. Socially, sexually, spiritually. If you don't rise, you vanish. Period. So stop whining about hypergamy. Stop crying that she left you when you failed her tests. Stop pretending her nature is the problem. Realize this. Her fear is just a mirror. It reflects your own. Her panic over disappearing should shake you awake. Because the real question isn't, why do women act this way? It's, what am I doing to make sure I'm not irrelevant? And the answer is not found in bitterness, not in hate, not in trying to fix her. The answer is found in fixing yourself, becoming dangerous, becoming disciplined, becoming the kind of man who cannot be ignored. Because here's what most men don't want to hear. Strong men age like wine. They grow more powerful with time. They gain value if they build it. So the question is simple. Which path are you on? And that brings us to the part most men try to avoid. The part where the truth demands action. Because understanding female fear is useless if you don't rise above your own. We've walked through the hidden psychology of women, the fear of irrelevance, the panic of invisibility, the biology that never updates. We've seen how that fear bleeds into behavior, how it shapes dating, decisions, dynamics. But now the spotlight turns to you. Because here's the truth that hits the hardest. Men are not safe either. Yes, women fear fading with age, but men become invisible when they choose weakness. That's what most of you don't realize. It's not time that destroys men. It's passivity, comfort, cowardice. And right now, we're living in an era where male weakness is not just accepted, it's encouraged. Entire systems are designed to keep men numb, distracted, docile. Porn is destroying your focus. Comfort is erasing your ambition. Dating apps are draining your energy into endless swipes and dopamine loops. A generation of men is slouched over their phones, dead-eyed, compliant, irrelevant before they ever got the chance to matter. And that's by design. Weak men are easy to control. Weak men don't build. They don't resist. They don't fight. They scroll. They obey. They fade into the background while the world burns around them. That's why this message exists. Not to shame you, but to wake you. To shake you out of the fog and into the fire. Because you were not born to drift through life, to consume and decay. You were born to lead, to rise, to become the kind of man whose presence is undeniable, no matter how much the world tries to bury him. The secret fear of women should not make you bitter. It should make you ruthless with yourself. If they fear irrelevance through time, then you must destroy irrelevance through strength. Build a body that commands respect. Forge a mind that cuts through lies. Live with purpose so deep that even collapse can't erase you. Because here's what history proves again and again. Civilizations fall. Empires crumble. But strong men always rise from the ashes. The only question is, will you be one of them? Or will you be just another ghost, another passive casualty, another man lost to comfort and cowardice? You think you have time? You don't. Every day wasted is a day of irrelevance. Every hour you scroll is a trade you make, your future for momentary distraction. And those trades pile up until your potential is just a story you tell yourself at night to numb the regret. So here's my challenge to you. Stop being passive. Stop hiding behind excuses. Stop blaming women. Their fear is a reflection of your own. They fear becoming invisible. You fear becoming meaningless. So what are you going to do about it? Build strength, not just in the gym, but in your decisions. Build discipline, the kind that makes you move when no one is watching. Build purpose, a mission so deep that the world's noise can't pull you off course. Because once you have those things, strength, discipline, purpose, you become unshakable. You become undeniable. And women, whether they admit it or not, feel safer around a man who refuses to be irrelevant. Not because you control them, not because you dominate them, but because you mastered yourself. That's the secret. The solution has never been to control women. The solution has always been to control yourself. To stop asking why the world changed and start asking who you need to become to win in it. Because you can rage against hypergamy. You can complain about dating culture. You can call women delusional. Or you can become so grounded, so sharp, so focused that none of it can shake you. You stop chasing approval. You stop trying to get women. You build value. And then you let the world respond. And it will respond. Because here's the universal law no one can escape. Men rise or men vanish. That's it. There is no middle ground. You either grow into power or decay into nothing. That's why this message matters. Because someone needs to remind you, comfort is not your friend. Numbness is not peace. Distraction is not freedom. Strength is the only currency that never expires. And relevance is not handed to you. It's earned, fought for, protected, reforged daily in fire. So if you feel like you've been sleeping, if you feel like your soul is buried under years of compromise, then this is your wake-up call. This is your line in the sand. You don't need more time. You need a decision. You need to stop consuming and start producing. Stop reacting and start leading. Stop chasing and start building. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. And if this message hit you, if something deep inside you stirred, if something you thought was dead flickered back to life, then don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Spread it. Not for clout, not for views, but because you might know a man who's still drowning, a brother who's sleepwalking through life, a man one decision away from becoming everything he's meant to be. Be the hand that pulls him out. Be the voice that reminds him what he is, because this world doesn't need more weak men. It doesn't need more passive watchers. It needs warriors, builders, shepherds, men who protect, men who create, men who lead with fire in their eyes and strength in their hands. And if you become that man, you'll never fear irrelevance again, because you won't need to chase it. It will follow you. Your presence will demand attention. Your name will carry weight, not because you begged for it, but because you earned it. That is the power of mastery. That is the reward of discipline. That is the legacy of strength. And here's the final truth. The clock is ticking, for all of us. Women fear that the window is closing, but so should you. Because every day you wait is a day the world forgets you. Every day you avoid the grind is a day someone else gets sharper. And when the dust settles, only the strong will be left standing. So pick up your weapon, whatever it is. Your craft, your body, your voice, your mission. Hone it, sharpen it, make it unbreakable. Build something no one can take from you. Because the world will try. It will mock you, test you, distract you. But if you're forged in fire, none of it can touch you. And that, right there, is the only true freedom. So stay strong, stay awake, stay sharp. The world is watching, but more importantly, your future is watching. Don't let it down, because strength is not just about winning. It's about becoming the man no one dares to ignore, even when everything else fades.